Hi everybody, my name is Rupa, working as assistant professor in Chabrol Engineering College. Now we are dealing the subject electrical machines 2, and today's topic is crawling and cogging of induction motors. So there are serious problems in the induction motor regarding the rotation of the rotor. So these are called as crawling and cogging. Now we will see what about crawling and what about cogging. So coming to the crawling, these induction motors, mainly if you consider squirrel cage type motors, so we are having two types of induction motors. By using the rotors, by using the type of rotor, we are having the types of induction motors, right? So these induction motors, which are mainly of squirrel cage type motors, they will be sometimes running stably at speeds as low as 1/7 of the synchronous speed. So that running of the induction motor at low speeds at 1/7 of synchronous speeds, this is called as crawling. So this running of induction motors at low speeds is called as crawling. So what is the speed? The speed will be nearly 1/7 of the synchronous speed. Okay, so what is the main reason for this crawling means? The main reason is the stator winding will be of AC, right? So the AC winding of the stator, it is mainly producing the flux wave, right? RMF is produced by the stator wave. Okay, so this RMF, if you observe that, it is not a continuous pure sine wave. In other terms, it is called as a complex wave. It is not a pure sine wave. It is called as a complex wave because it contains some fundamental waves. Okay, so these fundamental waves are revolving synchronously with this RMF. This what produced the complex wave is, what causes the complex wave is, there are other some fundamental waves which will be rotating same as the RMF speed. Okay, so these revolve synchronously and these create harmonics. Okay, so these are harmonics, are the harmonics created are odd harmonics here. So the harmonics will be even and odd. Here the type of harmonic is odd harmonic. It is like third harmonic, fifth harmonic, seventh, all the odd harmonics are created other than the sine wave. Okay, so that's why we are getting some disturbances in the sine wave, and that wave we are calling it as complex wave. Okay, so suppose if you take the third harmonic wave, fundamental wave, it will be rotating in forward, either in forward or backward direction. At the same time, fifth and seventh harmonic fundamental waves will also be rotating at both the directions, forward or backward. But they are rotating at the speeds of, suppose if you take the third harmonic, it will be rotating at ns/3 speed. If you take fifth harmonic, it will be rotating at ns/5. Suppose if you are taking the fundamental speed is ns, third harmonic will be rotating at a ns/3 speed, and fifth will be ns/5 speed, and seventh harmonic torque will be having a speed of ns/7. Okay, so in addition to the fundamental torques, these are the torques. In addition to the fundamental torques, harmonic torques are also developed. Okay, these harmonic torques which are developed are having a synchronous speed which is 1/nth of the speed for the fundamental torque. Okay, simply we can say that this harmonic n is the order of the harmonic torque. So what is the speed then? Ns by small n. If small n is the order of harmonic torque, what is the speed means? Ns, synchronous speed by small n. Okay, and coming to the currents, these harmonic currents such as third harmonic current, fifth harmonic current and seventh harmonic current will also be present in the balanced three-phase system. Suppose if you consider a third harmonic current, actually third harmonic currents are absent in a balanced three-phase system. But remaining harmonics are present, fifth and seventh are present. Okay, so because third harmonic currents are absent in the balanced three-phase system, these will produce no rotating field, no RMF is produced from the third harmonic currents. So if no harmonic is produced, then what happens? No torque is produced. Therefore, okay, suppose if the torque, if you consider a torque, this torque has totally three components. What are the three components? Actually, third is not there and remaining two are there. 5 and 7 are there. Okay, so total torque will be having three components total. First one is the fundamental torque, which is rotating at synchronous speed ns. Okay, so first torque is the fundamental torque, which is rotating at synchronous speed ns. Right? And second harmonic torque is fifth harmonic torque, because third is not present. Third harmonic currents are absent in the balanced three-phase system. So they produce no rotating field, so no torque is produced therefore. So third is absent. Now coming to the fifth harmonic torque, it is rotating at ns by 5 speed. And whereas seventh harmonic, it is rotating at ns by 7 speed. Okay, so total there are three components of the torque. First is fundamental torque, second one is fifth harmonic torque, and third one is seventh harmonic torque. And coming to the currents, the fifth harmonic current. So consider the fifth harmonic current. It is having a phase difference of 5. What is the phase difference of fifth harmonic current? 5 into 120 degrees. So total it becomes 600 degrees. So 600 degrees can be written as 600 degrees can be written as here minus 120 degrees. Minus 120 degrees in three stator windings. So the revolving field set up by them rotates in reverse direction at ns by 5 speed. Okay, so the revolving field which is set up by this current is set up in the reverse direction, which rotates with the speed of ns by 5. Okay, because the forward speed of the rotor is corresponding to the slip, which is greater than 100%. So small amount of fifth harmonic will be present in reverse torque direction, which produces a braking action. But this braking action can be neglected because only small amount of fifth harmonic will be present. Okay, so fifth harmonic current minus 120 degrees in each three stator windings, fifth harmonic current will be present, but it can be neglected because it turns in reverse direction. It gives the regenerative braking, and as it is a small component, it can be neglected. Now coming to the seventh harmonic current. What is the seventh harmonic current in the three stator windings? It is having a phase difference of 7 into 120. Okay, 7 into 120. that is equal to 600 degree. 2 into 360 plus 120 degrees. One minute. So what is the seventh harmonic current? It is having a phase difference of 7 into 120. That becomes 2 into 2 times of the 360 plus 120, right? So that is plus 120 degrees in 3 stator windings. So these seventh harmonic currents will be produced at the speed of 1/7 of the synchronous speed, and these seventh harmonics are setting up a forward rotating field. Okay, fifth harmonic currents will be setting up a reverse rotating field, but due to the small amount of this fifth harmonics, we are neglecting that. But coming to the seventh harmonic, they set up forward rotating field with 1/7 of ns of fundamental torque. Okay, so you can see in the diagram the torque due to this crawling. See here, from this crawling region it becomes unstable region, and again after the crawling region it becomes stable region. So the induction motor is stable at starting and at starting slips and high slips. Okay, so if all the higher harmonics are neglected, suppose this is not the end of the harmonics, we are having higher harmonics like odd, all are the odd harmonics 5, 7, 9, 11 like that. If you all neglect the higher harmonics, the resultant torque will be equal to 3 harmonics. Totally 3 harmonics are there. Out of 3, we have to omit the fifth harmonic also. So the fundamental torque, the total torque can be sum of 2 torques. What is that? First one is fundamental torque and second one is seventh harmonic torque. Okay, this is the fundamental torque and this is the seventh harmonic torque. I am neglecting the fifth harmonic torque also because of its small value. So total torque is equal to fundamental torque plus seventh harmonic torque. Okay, so this seventh harmonic torque, it reaches its maximum position value just before 1/7 of ns. So beyond that 1/7 speed, 1/7 of synchronous speed, beyond that its values are all negative. Okay, so see here, these are the resultant torque characteristics. It shows a dip. It shows a dip here, which become very keen to see that, very keen to observe with certain slot combinations. So if the mechanical load on the shaft has constant load torque, there is a possibility that torque developed by the motor will be falling below this load torque. Okay, so once again I am raising the point. If mechanical load on the shaft has constant load torque, there is a possibility of the torque that it develops, the motor develops the torque which will be falling below this load torque, constant load torque. So what happens when the motor drops below this load torque? This motor will not accelerate up to its normal speed. Then what happens? It will be only accelerating and only running at 1/7 of its full speed only. So this condition is called crawling of the motor. Okay, so if the mechanical load on the shaft has constant torque, what is the possibility? There is a possibility of developing the load torque by the motor which is below this load torque. So the torque which is developed by the motor will be less than this constant load torque. So the motor will not accelerate up to its normal speeds, and it will be running at simply 1/7 of the full speed. Okay, so this is all about crawling. Next topic is cogging. So this cogging is also called as magnetic locking. This also we will find mostly in squirrel cage. Okay, so this sometimes if you observe the squirrel cage rotors, these sometimes refuse to start because when the voltage is low voltage is there, so no flux. So what happens? In the stator there will be teeth, and in the rotor also there will be slots and teeth. So when this happens means if the voltage is low, they cannot build up the torque, because the number of stator teeth which we are taking, suppose the stator teeth are S1 and the rotor is also having some slots, and thereby they are developing the teeth. So with this rotor teeth S2, these two magnitudes will be equal. That means number of stator teeth will be equal to rotor teeth. So due to the magnetic locking between the stator and rotor teeth, this happens. Okay, so that's why we have to put the copper bars on the squirrel cage induction motor with a skewed manner. Skewed manner means we have to not put the stator and rotor copper bars parallelly. We have to align them with an phase difference in the angles of both stator and rotor. Right? So if the rotor is, see here, if the rotor is parallel, if the rotor is having parallel slots, then the rotor, if the stator is having this type of arrangement of copper bars, then the rotor copper bars should be in a angle such that they are not parallel. These both should not be parallel. They should be inclined in the position, so that the magnetic locking, the attraction between the stator teeth and rotor teeth will not exist. The attraction is not there. Okay, so reluctance of the magnetic path, it is minimized when the stator and rotor teeth faces each other. Okay, so rather we can put them in one element in opposite directions. So it is in such positions of minimum reluctance, the rotor will be remaining to stop. That means in minimum reluctance position, the rotor tends to remain fixed, and this causes a serious trouble during the starting positions. Okay, what happens? This does not rotate. The rotor refuses to rotate because of road reluctance path. So this can be easily overcome by making the number of rotor slots prime to the stator slots. This is a small topic, cogging. Next to last topic in this unit is speed control. See here, I will explain the diagram. These are the double cage induction motor slots of the armature. See. So to prevent the magnetic locking, the adjustments will be like this. Okay. Next one. Speed control of induction motor. So a 3-phase induction motor Suppose if you take a 3-phase induction motor, actually like a DC motor, this induction motor is also said to be a constant speed machine. Okay, speed regulation will be less than 5% of the full load here. But there is a practical difference. If you see practically, there will be a difference between the induction motor and shunt motor. Because if there is no any practical difference between the induction motor and shunt motor, what is the meaning of saying it as an induction motor? We can mean by call it also as a DC motor. But it is not existing. We are calling it as induction motor, because practically there is a difference between the constant speeds of the induction motor and the DC shunt motor. So if you take a DC shunt motor, it is made to run at any speed with a wide limits. Okay, so it is run at any speed with wide limits. It is not having narrow limits, it is having wide limits, and it is also having good efficiency, and speed regulation there also is done by simple field rheostat only. So the regulation of the speed, the changing of the speed is also done very easily. By simply putting a field rheostat, we can adjust the speed to any speed within a limit. Limit means this limit will also be a wide. So induction motors, but coming to the induction motors, the main difference between the induction motors and the DC motors is, if you want to regulate any speed in the induction motor, we have to lose some efficiency. So after losing some efficiency only, we can gain the speed regulation. But in DC motor, it's not the condition. The efficiency will be maintained constant if though we adjust the speed or not. So there are mainly 6 types of methods of speed control for the induction motor. Okay, so first one is depending upon the main side. Control from rotor side and control from stator side. So mainly I am classifying them into 2 types of sides depending upon the parts it is having. So from the stator side also I can control the speed of the induction motor, and meanwhile from the rotor side also I can control the speed of the induction motor. So how I can control in stator and rotor, we will see now. So coming to the stator side, control from the stator side, first one by changing the applied voltage, and second one by changing the applied frequency, and third one by changing the number of stator poles. And coming to the rotor side, coming to the control from the rotor side, the first one is rotor rheostat control. Second one is by operating 2 motors in concatenation or some cascade connections. Taking 2 motors and keeping them in cascade, or by injecting an EMF in the rotor circuit. So these are the 3 methods. Each method is having Each method is having 3 types of arrangements to control the speed. So one by one we will see carefully. First one is by changing the applied voltage in the stator, right? So it seems to be a cheapest and easiest method, but as though it is the cheapest and easiest method, it is only used rarely because there are some disadvantages. So coming to the disadvantages, the first one, if you change large value in the voltage, if large change in voltage is changed, if there is large change in voltage, it is required for a relatively small change in speed. If you change large amount of voltage, but we get only small changes in speed. Speed regulation is poor. And second disadvantage is, if you change a large amount of voltage, this results in large change of flux density. So if there is a large change of flux density, what happens? There will be a disturbance in the magnetism flux. right? So this causes large change in voltage results in change in flux density. So seriously, it will be disturbing the magnetic conditions of the motor. So because of these two disadvantages, we are using this method only rarely. Next type of method is changing the applied frequency, all about dealing in stator only, remember. So changing the applied frequency in the stator. This again is also used rarely because we know that the in the induction motor in the stator, the flux will be rotating with the synchronous speed. This is called as rotating magnetic field. So what is the formula? Ns is equal to 120 F by P. This is the formula of the synchronous speed. Okay, so in Ns, if you change the Ns, how will you change the Ns? By changing the parameters in the Ns. So you know the formula that Ns is equal to what is the formula? Ns is equal to 120 F by P. So our main aim is to change this synchronous speed, right? So change the synchronous speed. If synchronous speed is changed, depending upon that, N will be also changed, right? So for changing this Ns speed, what are the parameters required for changing? Only there are two parameters. Either F should be changed or P should be changed. So once you fix the induction motor with specified number of poles, you cannot change by in the running conditions, and the winding will also be changed. So here P will be fixed. And the only parameter changeable is frequency. So by changing the frequency, if you change this F, N will be changed. Okay, so this is used only when the induction motor alone is the load on the generator. So if any other loads are there on the generator, it is not possible because the change in frequency may disturb the other loads on the generator also, may change the other loads in the generator also. So if the induction motor is the only load on the generator, we can go through this process. Okay, so this supply frequency F, it is controlled by controlling the prime mover of the generators mainly. How can we change the F? It is controlled, changed and controlled by the controlling prime movers of the generators. But even if you do this, the range of speed which is changing is very, very low. And this is used to some extent on electrically driven ships. What is the example? What is the application means? To some extent only, if you want to change the speed, regulate the speed, it is used to some extent on electrically driven ships. The ships which are driven electrically, they use to some extent this method to change the speed. Because there the ship is having only one motor, and that one motor will be a load on the generator. So in that cases, we can change the speed of the ship by controlling the prime movers of the generators. Okay, next one, last one is on the stator side, changing the number of stator poles. So this method is easily applicable for squirrel cage. Why? Because the motor has a rotor which adapts itself to any reasonable number of stator poles. It is having a rotor which will be adjustable to any number of poles, for carrying any number of poles. Okay, so Ns is also here, synchronous speed is also changed by changing the stator poles. We can change the stator poles and we can change the Ns. So the change of stator poles is achieved by having two or more which are entirely dependent on stator windings in some slots. So each winding will be giving different number of poles, will have different number of poles. Hence, depending upon the different number of poles, we are getting different number of synchronous speeds. Sorry, different synchronous speeds you are getting. By using different number of poles, we can find different synchronous speeds. For example, if you see, I am taking 36 slots stator, 36 slots stator, which is having two double three-phase windings, two three-phase windings. One winding is having 4 poles and other winding is having 6 poles. And the supply frequency is 50 Hz. Then suppose this is having 2 pole windings. The first pole winding, that is the 4 pole winding, gives how much speed? 120 F by P. That means 120 into 50 by 4, 1500 RPM. So a 4 pole is giving a speed of 1500 RPM, and coming to the 6 pole winding, it gives 120 F by 120 into 50 by 6, it gives 1000 RPM speed. Okay, so we can use 4 independent stator windings also. Here in the example, I am using only 2 independent stator windings. If I use 4 independent stator windings, they give 4 different synchronous speeds. Okay, so if you use like this, only one winding is used at a time. The others will be disconnected. So this method is mainly used for elevator motors and traction motors and for small motors which during the machine tools. So the speeds will be in the ratio of 2:1. This can be produced by single winding if wound on a consequent pole principle. So in that case, each of the 2 stator windings can be connected by a simple switch to give 2 speeds. Each will be giving 2, 2, 2, 2. So we are getting totally 4 speeds in all. Okay, so I will explain you this with examples in next class.